Good morning, Mr. Secretary, and welcome to El Paso and Juarez. As your visit today highlights, Mexico is a vital partner of the United States. We share a 2,000-mile border. Mexico is our second leading trading partner, and we have 36 million people of Mexican descent who live in the United States. We also have 1.5 million Americans who live in Mexico, and in normal times, we have millions of Americans who come as tourists every year. Juarez embodies the shared culture, history, and economy, and is the perfect gateway to Mexico. And I'd like to introduce to you our Consul General in Juarez, Eric Cohen. Eric arrived in Juarez in August of last year. He came from Islamabad, Pakistan. In addition to numerous positions in the department, he has also served at our embassies in Colombia, the Dominican Republic, Ecuador, and Venezuela. Eric, it's all yours.
Welcome to El Paso and Ciudad Juarez, Mr. Secretary. This is the first ever visit of a Secretary of State to Ciudad Juarez, and I speak for everyone here when I say we're pleased to be having you pass through our part of Mexico, even if virtually. To welcome you to the region, we have several distinguished guests with us today. They work very closely with the Consulate General and truly represent this dynamic region. We have the Mayor of El Paso, Oscar Leeser, the CEO of the Borderplex Alliance, John Barella, the Consul General of Mexico in El Paso, Mauricio Ibarra, the Mayor of Ciudad Juarez, Armando Cavada, and the President Coordinator of the combined Ciudad Juarez Chambers of Commerce, Eduardo Ramos. Our Consulate General, just across the Rio Grande in Ciudad Juarez, is the largest in Mexico and is home to one of the largest consular sections in the world, and by far the largest immigrant visa operation. With COVID-19, we of course had to scale back visa operations, but as vaccinations roll out and the virus recedes, we look forward to ramping up our efforts once again to help reunite families and facilitate legal immigration to the United States. This morning, we'll have our U.S. Customs and Border Protection colleagues show you around the port of entry for 15 minutes. Your remarks follow, and then you will virtually cross the Paso del Norte Bridge, which connects downtown El Paso and Ciudad Juarez. Consul General Ibarra and Mayor Cavada will then each welcome you to Mexico. Without further ado, Mr. Secretary, let me introduce the El Paso Director of Field Operations, Hector Mancha. DFO Mancha leads the nearly 1,500 women and men who conduct operations and enforcement activities at this and 10 other international ports of entry in West Texas and New Mexico. DFO Mancha, over to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Consul General Cohen. Good morning, Mr. Secretary.
Good to see you.
I also welcome you to El Paso and to the port here at Paso del Norte, here in El Paso. My name is Hector Mancha. I'm the Director of Field Operations for the El Paso Field Office. Today is truly an honor for us to be able to show you our operations. Today, what you will see here at Paso del Norte is the dedicated men and women of CEP doing their work in protecting this great nation of ours. At the same time, facilitating legitimate trade and travel. This is the work they do 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. They not only do it here at this bridge, but they also do it throughout the country. I'd like to also introduce Acting Port Director Greta Campos, who will be having the privilege of providing you the operational tour of our operations. I also want to say thank you again for selecting El Paso as a place to visit during your trip here to Ciudad Juarez. For that, I will pass it on to Port Director.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning, sir. I'm Greta Campos, Acting Port Director for the Port of El Paso. The Port of El Paso is quite large and operates at 8 locations throughout the city. This includes the International Airport, 1 large foreign trade zone, 2 railroad crossings, 1 cargo facility for commercial trucks, and 3 passenger crossings for pedestrians and vehicles. In all, the Port of El Paso has 53 primary lanes. 47 of those are for passenger operations, and 26 of these are here at the PDN border crossing, and processed more than $26 billion of commercial trade in the last fiscal year. At this point, I'd like to take you outside and show you the PDN border crossing.
Great, let's go.
Okay. The port uses CBP officers posted at the limit line on the pedestrian bridge to manage our queue, specifically to ensure that the port is not overcrowded and to prevent the spread of COVID-19. In the fiscal year before COVID travel restrictions, the port processed 7.1 million passenger vehicles. 3.8 million of these vehicles were processed here at PDN and at the nearby Stanton Crossing. Since COVID hit, our vehicle traffic is down about 30% from the pre-pandemic levels. The port also has processed more than 18,000 buses, 10,000 of them here at PDN. CBP uses a layered enforcement strategy with intelligence, technology, professional officers and agriculture specialists, K-9 teams, and infrastructure to screen and inspect pedestrians and vehicles and ensure we are protecting our borders. Unlike an airport or a seaport, we do not usually have advanced information about the pedestrians or vehicles who cross our border. We face threats to include terrorists, drug and alien smugglers, currency smuggling, counterfeit and dangerous goods, all while we facilitate the lawful travel and trade to drive our nation's economic prosperity. We have CBP officers and K-9 teams who sweep pre-primary trying to detect those threats. Our K-9 teams are trained to detect different odors, concealed human and narcotics, currency and firearms, or agriculture products. Our vehicle primary lanes are equipped with license plate readers, radio frequency identification readers for Western Hemisphere Travel Initiative compliant documents, and radiation portal monitors to provide the officers on primary with the most information possible about vehicles, drivers, and passengers. Now, moving into pedestrian primary, the port processed 5.7 million pedestrians in FY19 pre-COVID. 4.6 million of these pedestrians were processed here at PDN. The port also processed over 12,000 immigrant visa packets. Nearly 1/3 of those were processed right here at PDN. We intercepted nearly 23,000 inadmissible persons in FY19 pre-pandemic. Our pedestrian traffic, though, is down about 50% since the pandemic started and the non-essential travel restrictions were put in place. PDN is one of the locations where the Migrant Protection Protocol wind down is conducted, in addition to our sister ports at San Ysidro and Brownsville. This will allow those individuals currently enrolled in MPP who have pre-enrolled in the CBP-1 application, been COVID tested by international organizations, and brought to the limit line to be processed into the United States to await their hearings. The cooperation between the whole of government and non-governmental organizations on both sides of the border to begin the MPP wind down has been outstanding. We are only, of course, processing no MPP migrants who registered, cleared, and who have a negative COVID test. On primary, our officers look for fraudulent documents, false claims, individuals smuggling illicit narcotics and agriculture products that could pose a threat, and for individuals with warrants for their arrest, among other concerns. We also currently ensuring travelers have an essential travel purpose. If a traveler requires additional scrutiny, our officers will refer individuals into secondary for additional screening. All pedestrians are also referred for agriculture screening. Our agriculture specialists are trained in biological sciences. They look for products that may harbor pests, animal and plant diseases, or invasive plants that could devastate our U.S. pork, cattle, and farming industries. Last year, the port intercepted over 500 interceptions of agricultural prohibited items. They are also trained to search for all threats, to include bioterrorism and narcotics, and frequently find them, such as individuals bringing undeclared biological samples or attempting to smuggle narcotics and their personal effects. For instance, they found someone who had hidden pills inside of tamales just a couple weeks ago. Moving into vehicle secondary, our officers are committed to enforcing the laws of the United States. Last year, even during the pandemic, we made 860 narcotic and illicit drug seizures of over 28,000 pounds of narcotics, to include fentanyl, methamphetamine, cocaine, heroin, and other opioids. We seized more than $740,000 in undeclared currency and made 35 seizures of 14 weapons, 227 firearms parts and accessories, and more than 19,000 rounds of ammunition. Our teams of vehicle secondary search them for hidden compartments that may hide narcotics or illicit currency. They use their professional training to detect behavioral anomalies and determine if drivers or passengers may be hiding items on their bodies. Our canine teams also work post-primary and in secondary to screen and search vehicles. The officers utilize the technology, such as Z-portals, to scan vehicles and determine if the narcotics are in hidden compartments, such as within door panels, bumpers, spare tires, and roof compartments. They also screen and inspect the vehicles, commercial trucks, and pedestrians traveling outbound to prevent the illicit currency and firearms from going into Mexico that fuel the operations and violence of the transnational criminal organizations. Last year, and moving forward into 2021, it remains a national priority to reduce the risk of exposure to COVID-19 in the United States. To that end, CDC travel restrictions that have been in place since March of 2020 were recently extended for another month until March 21st of 2021. Commercial traffic has remained relatively steady, and we are committed to the binational efforts to facilitate that lawful trade. The Port of El Paso does remain committed to facilitating lawful trade and travel, while at the same time advancing national security by reducing the spread of COVID-19 into the United States. This is in addition to our traditional counterterrorism and other enforcement missions. To do this, the Port of Entry works closely with our U.S. Consulate and Department of State colleagues to foster a culture of transparency and collaboration. Mr. Secretary, like your stepmother, my stepfather also came to the United States as a refugee during the Hungarian diaspora. He taught me two things. First, his recipe for chicken paprikash, and second, his work ethic. The men and women here at the Port of El Paso exhibit that work ethic each and every day as they work to deter the threats that are coming to our country and to ensure that the United States is safe. Thank you, Mr. Secretary, for taking a tour of Paso del Norte crossing.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Secretary, I believe you also have some remarks for us.
I do indeed, and I just want to start, Director, by saying that was a remarkable tour, and you had to do all the hard work, as I got to actually sit here and watch you. But I can't, first of all, believe all the ground you covered, literally and figuratively. That was an extraordinary overview of the work you're doing, the work your teams are doing. It's incredibly gratifying to hear, especially the teamwork that's involved between different agencies, Customs and Border Patrol, DHS, the State Department, our colleagues in Mexico. So I can't thank you enough. And I know that all of this is an already challenging, usually important mission is compounded by the challenge of COVID-19. And so you've been doing remarkable work under extraordinary circumstances, and know that your fellow citizens are really grateful for it. But it's wonderful to be here with everyone virtually. As you know, COVID-19 forced me to postpone actual travel for a little while. So this is the next best thing with this week's virtual trips to our neighbors, to Mexico, and also to Canada. I'm very much looking forward to meeting with members of the Mexican and Canadian governments. And today, I'm delighted to be taking this virtual tour of the Paso del Norte, the port of entry, the bridge connecting El Paso, Texas, and Ciudad Juarez in the Mexican state of Chihuahua. And I really want to thank everyone who made this virtual visit possible, including Oscar Leeser, the mayor of El Paso. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. John Barella, the CEO of the Borderplex Alliance. Mauricio Ibarra, Ponce de Leon, Consul General of the Mexican Consulate General in El Paso. Hector Armando Cabada Alvidrez, the Mayor of Ciudad Juarez. Mr. Mayor, thank you. And Eduardo Ramos Moran, the President Coordinator of Ciudad Juarez Combined Chambers of Commerce. To all of you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I really appreciate the remarkable virtual hospitality. Let me just say a few short words before we actually cross the bridge. This port of entry is a major hub of activity between our countries. Last year alone, more than 1,300,000 people crossed this bridge. And together, these two cities, one American, one Mexican, comprise the fourth largest manufacturing hub in all of North America, generating $82 billion in trade every year. The state of Chihuahua alone has a greater economic impact on the United States than entire countries do. As a result of all this economic activity, there are many social ties between the residents of El Paso and Ciudad Juarez. They're neighbors. In some ways, it's one binational community. For years, people in El Paso have walked across the bridge for dinner in Mexico and then back home again for dessert. The border between the United States and Mexico has received a lot of attention in American politics, especially in the past few years. Many Americans are deeply concerned about border security. They're worried about undocumented immigrations and the flow of drugs, weapons, illicit cash. These issues are also serious concerns for the Mexican people. They demand serious solutions, which means effective solutions, and the Biden administration is committed to delivering them. We're taking a new approach to regional migration. That includes working with other governments in the region, including Mexico and the countries of Central America, to address the heartbreaking reasons why people are risking their lives and safety to make it into the United States at any cost. It's dangerous for them, and it goes against our laws. To anyone thinking about undertaking that journey, our message is, don't do it. We are strictly enforcing our immigration laws and our border security measures. The border is closed to irregular migration. President Biden is committed to reforming our immigration system and ensuring safe, orderly, and humane processing at our border. Those changes will take time. And the United States will work closely with Mexico to strengthen the rule of law, improve security, and hold wrongdoers accountable, especially at the border. We will only be able to disrupt the criminal networks that exploit our shared border if we work together. And we will, because stopping transnational crime is in both of our countries' interests. We have to keep our citizens safe, and crime threatens all the economic activity that our people and businesses conduct together, which is vital for countless people's livelihoods across our countries. I'm visiting the border today because it represents so much of what connects the United States and Mexico. Trade, business ties, family ties, tourism, a shared environment, and mutual security. That's why this relationship is so important to the United States. We value and respect our partnership with Mexico, and we depend on it every single day. So we'll continue to work together closely to advance our shared goals and deliver results for our people. Thank you again to everyone for making today's visit possible.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary, for those remarks on the challenges and importance of the relationship for both our nations and our respective peoples. We're now going to move to see footage from the middle of the bridge that links the two cities, Juarez and El Paso. And then we'll also have a video, first by the Consul General of Mexico in El Paso, Mauricio Ibarra, welcoming you to the city. And then we'll have a video from the Mayor of Ciudad Juarez, Armando Cabada. Okay, thank you again.
Thanks, John.
Secretario Antony Blinken, a nombre del Secretario de Relaciones Exteriores de México, Marcelo Ebrard, y del encargado de América del Norte en la Cancillería, Roberto Velasco, tengo el gusto de darle la más cordial bienvenida a México en su primer viaje internacional. Su visita a esta región binacional de El Paso, Las Cruces, Ciudad Juárez, resalta la importancia que Estados Unidos otorga a la frontera, que también es una clara prioridad para el gobierno mexicano al considerar a la región fronteriza como una zona de un fuerte desarrollo económico, de innovación e investigación tecnológica, así como una zona que brinda claras oportunidades educativas. México comparte con Estados Unidos el interés por modernizar la infraestructura fronteriza, por reforzar la seguridad y por fortalecer los flujos de personas y bienes, a la vez que reforzamos las cadenas de valor de América del Norte, brindándonos la posibilidad de aprovechar los amplios beneficios que nos ofrece el Tratado México-Estados Unidos-Canadá. Secretario Blinken, a nombre del Gobierno de México, esperamos que tenga usted una visita productiva a esta comunidad binacional que ha mostrado en ambos lados de la frontera su fortaleza, resiliencia y solidaridad, que es un claro ejemplo de cómo las relaciones bilaterales basadas en la responsabilidad compartida y el respeto mutuo unen todavía más a México y Estados Unidos, haciéndonos más fuertes y competitivos. Bienvenido a México.
Hola, les saludo.
Gracias.
Presidente municipal de Ciudad Juárez. A nombre de todos los juarenses, quiero darle la bienvenida a sus nuevas responsabilidades al señor secretario Antony Blinken como secretario de Estado. Se está abriendo una nueva etapa para la relación entre nuestros países y su actuación será muy importante para tener éxito. Reconozco y agradezco el haber escogido a México y particularmente a Ciudad Juárez para iniciar su gestión. Para México es esencial que la visión de cooperación y amistad se convierta en una realidad. Por eso, quiero agradecer la voluntad de los juarenses para el éxito en este compromiso, que será de gran beneficio para nuestros países.
Juárez Independiente. Los hechos hablan.
Thank you so much.
Good morning.
Good morning, Anthony. Buenos días.
Great to see you, Marcelo.
I'd say the same thing. We are going to have this, our meeting. You are very welcome to Mexico. I'm going to speak in Spanish because we have thousands of people in this country following this brief message in order to welcome you and your team to this virtual Mexico. Muchas gracias por estar acá.
Thank you for being here today. We have been expecting this meeting. We are very happy to be able to host it through these new technologies that we are using nowadays. We recognize the initiatives of President Biden. We understand that these are being done in recognition to the Mexican community. We are receiving them with empathy. We are also very happy to see the coming back of the United States to the Paris Agreement and to the WHO. We understand we will be tackling together common challenges, and we plan to move forward with our concrete proposals, especially regarding North and Central America and our current situation. So, Anthony and everyone else present here today, welcome to Mexico. So with this, let's begin our virtual visit. Thank you so much.
Marcelo, colleagues, thank you so much for receiving me on this virtual visit, my first as Secretary of State. I wanted to visit, in quotation marks, Mexico first to demonstrate the importance that we attach, President Biden attaches to the relationship between our countries. It's hard to think of a more important relationship and two countries that are more in so many extraordinary ways, intertwined, and really do have a shared destiny that it falls upon us to help advance. I really do wish we could have done this in person. I'm very much looking forward to the opportunity when we can, and also to seeing you here. I guess the benefits of doing the virtual visit are no jet lag. On the other hand, no frequent flyer miles either, so it's a little bit of a trade-off. But I really am looking forward to the opportunity to travel to Mexico. I've had many opportunities in the past to spend time in different parts of an extraordinary country, including when I was Deputy Secretary of State. But I'm looking forward to us being able to see each other in person, both here and there. But meanwhile, we do have a very important agenda for today. So I'm looking forward to getting into that and working together. Thank you. Well, greetings.
Hello.
So good to see you, Secretary.
Igualmente, nos da muchísimo.
Likewise, it is such a pleasure to welcome you today. Good morning, Secretary Blinken. Welcome to Mexico, and mostly welcome to the Secretariat of the Economy. Good morning. It is such a pleasure, Secretary Blinken, to see you not just in Mexico, but at the Secretariat of the Economy. It is a pleasure for us to have this first meeting with you, and we are certain that this will be a great step so as to strengthen the relationship between Mexico and the United States. It would have been great to have you visit us here, but we are certain that sooner than we expect, we'll be able to shake hands in person and give you the welcome you deserve. We know that for the relationship between Mexico and the United States, this is not just a relationship of friends, neighbors, and trade partners. We share more than that. We share a huge border, which has had us be united for such a long time. We have had achievements between our two nations, not only speaking of trade. In our trade relationship, we had over 538 million daily trade exchanges. This is a very interesting figure, and please know that we are ready to work with our counterparties, the future trade representative, Regina Raymond, the next Secretary of Trade, and Isabel Guzman, who will be in charge of SMEs. Allow me to say that it is always a pleasure to work with the United States Embassy in Mexico. Our colleague and friend John Kramer, with whom we meet every fortnight. We hold meetings to see how we will continue to work to continue to deepen this bond. Thank you so very much, John, for this coordinated work. Please allow me to say that President López Obrador is extremely interested and is betting on this work through the USMCA, trade relations, and the strengthening of the work between both nations is of the utmost importance. He sees the USMCA as a big tool for recovery post-COVID, maybe during COVID, but I think we could start discussing the post-COVID era. And allow me to discuss the outage of supply chains that have affected not just the world, but also our countries as a result of COVID. We know President Biden has requested a review in a term of 100 days in supply chains in the United States, specifically regarding chips and large capacity batteries and pharmaceuticals and strategic minerals. Mexico, we are sure, could be part of these large efforts so as to ensure that in North America we can have the necessary supply for this type of goods. They cannot be a problem. We want to be suppliers of these goods. We want to work hand in hand with you, your government, and the government of Canada to strengthen the platform for trade in North America. The pandemic has shown us that only if we work jointly And here I believe our colleague John Kramer is not going to let us lie. I believe when we work together, we can face challenges in an easier way, creating synergies so that things can progress. We reiterate our willingness to work with your government hand in hand, not just for Mexico to do better, but for the 3 countries who have signed the USMCA. We will all become stronger for the benefit of our peoples. You have the floor, Secretary. Many thanks to you.
Well, Madam Secretary, thank you so much. First, thank you for receiving our virtual delegation. And as you said, I wish we could be there in person, but also, as you said, I think that day will come sooner rather than later. And I very much look forward to it and being able to work in close cooperation with you. I think I share all of the sentiments you've already expressed, both the general perspective and even some of the substance that we've started to get into regarding supply chains. But I couldn't agree more that we have already such a vital and vibrant economic relationship between our countries, and one that is to the benefit of Mexicans and Americans alike. And I think we have a common opportunity as well as responsibility to work to deepen and strengthen that. And as you said, particularly as our countries emerge from COVID-19 and we're embarked on a shared effort to, as President Biden says, build back better, we have real opportunities in the trade and economic space to do the same thing. But having kicked things off, let me ask our colleagues from the press to have an opportunity to get some coffee somewhere, and then we can continue. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to welcome you to Mission Mexico City. It's a great honor, certainly for the mission, to host the first ever virtual visit by a secretary. And certainly with this, we hope to add an important footnote to the storied history of the mission. It's going to be a unique experience. We also recognize that your visit highlights the importance of the U.S.-Mexico relationship, which we like to think is one of the most important ones we have, and which affects the daily lives of more Americans probably than any other foreign relationship that we have. Okay. For the community, I'd just like to note that the Secretary was sworn in as the 71st Secretary of State on January 26th. Prior to being sworn in, he's held numerous foreign policy positions over the years, including being the Deputy Secretary under Secretary Kerry. He's also worked as a journalist, as a fellow at a think tank, and as a key player as a congressional staffer. So, Mr. Secretary, it's my pleasure to invite you to address Mission Mexico.
Well, John, thank you very, very much. And hello, everybody. It is wonderful to be with you virtually and hopefully at some point soon in person. But thanks so much to our Charge d'Affaires, John Kramer, for your leadership and for that very kind introduction. I want to say thank you as well to Yvonne Gonzalez and Naomi Fellows for their hard work as the control officers for this unique visit. I'm wondering exactly what kind of wheels up party you're going to have when I quote unquote leave. Maybe it's a link down party. We need to find some kind of new terminology for it. But I'm really grateful for all you've done to make this possible. And I really do wish I could be with you in person today. But I'm delighted that we're pioneering virtual travel together. With your help, we put together a strong itinerary for my first trip to Mexico as Secretary. We've got meetings with leaders across the Mexican government, a virtual tour of the El Paso Ciudad Juarez port of entry. By the end of the week, I think we will have touched on many of the critical issues that the United States and Mexico deal with together: migration, security, economic growth, regional competitiveness, environmental sustainability. We could literally stretch this visit out for weeks and still have more issues to cover because, as you know better than anyone, our relationship with Mexico is one of the most comprehensive we have in the world. And I very much agree with John. This really is one of the most important relationships we have with any country anywhere. And that's why I'm visiting Mexico during my very first trip as secretary. The family, the cultural, the economic, the security, the political, the legal ties we have with Mexico are vast. And you, the women and men of Mission Mexico, are responsible for maintaining those ties every single day. So I really wanted to just say one very simple thing at the outset, and that's thank you. Whether you're direct hire employees, locally employed staff, family members, whether you work for the State Department or for one of the many other U.S. government agencies represented here, from Treasury to the FDA to the DOJ, you are part of this mission. So thank you for serving the United States. And thank you for shaping and leading this complex diplomatic partnership, which is so vital to American interests and maybe more than anything else, directly affects millions of American families, millions of American lives every day. I have some sense from my past service that this work is often difficult. I know it takes sacrifice, and that's in normal times. This past year has been particularly hard because of COVID-19. You've lost 21 colleagues to the virus, including contractors and local guards. That's devastating. And I know that many more of you have gotten sick or seen loved ones get sick. So I want you to know that stopping this pandemic is our #1 priority. Nothing matters more to me than your health and safety. That is job one. So I'm determined to do everything we can to make sure that all our Mission Mexico employees and eligible family members are vaccinated as soon as possible in every consulate across the country. I don't think it's a secret that there have been logistical challenges, but I want to tell you the administration is working fast, and we will give you as much information as we can, as soon as we can, as we make our vaccination plans and we execute on them. We have to be partners in this every step of the way, and I'm determined that we move this as quickly as we possibly can. I also want to acknowledge the extraordinary work that you've done to keep this embassy functioning throughout the pandemic. Consulate General Monterrey managed to process more than 250,000 H-2 visas last year, and that in turn helped secure the U.S. Food supply chain. Mission Mexico adjudicated more than 40% of all non-immigrant visas worldwide. That's remarkable. Last time I was in Mexico as Deputy Secretary, I spent some time visiting with Consular Affairs, visiting with the American Services folks, and I know what a remarkable job you're doing every day. And again, in this pandemic, what was already a challenging task has become even more so. You've ensured that critical manufacturing and service supply chains stayed operational. USAID kept its work going with farmers and communities in southern Mexico, helping them switch to more sustainable land management practices. And on the public diplomacy front, you continue to engage the Mexican public virtually. I know you do this work because you believe in it. It is more than a job. It is truly service. And I just want you to know that as Secretary, I will try to honor your service by doing all I can to support you. I know that we have work to do as a department to rebuild trust, rebuild morale. We've got to do a better job listening to the women and men of state when formulating policy. We've got to invest in diversity and inclusion, and I know that's a priority for this mission. More broadly, we've got to build a workplace culture of collegiality, teamwork, and respect. I am deeply committed to this work, and I want to be clear. It doesn't just apply to the people at Maine State. It applies to you and all your colleagues in embassies and consulates around the world. We are all part of this community, and I am incredibly proud to be your secretary. So thank you again for helping make my first virtual trip to Mexico a success. I look forward to the day when I can be there in person, but mostly thank you for your service to the United States.